rounding is one of the most important things that we learn, okay, in our life, and we do it on a daily basis. We do it when we go shopping, right? All the time, right? Especially now that we don't have the pennies anymore. But also where we do it a lot with measurements, right? So it's something that you're gonna have, the question will be asking you specifically to round to a certain decimal place, and you need to know what the question is asking you for, okay? So when the question is asking you to round, you're gonna have to make sure that you're rounding to the correct spot, okay? I'm gonna start with where the spots are and what they're called, and then we will, I'll show you how you can round. So the decimal is basically what splits your number, okay, with whatever is before the decimal, whatever is after the decimal, okay? Your ones, out of all these, like 1, 2, 3, 8, which one is your ones? Which number? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, or 8? The 4. This is your ones, okay? So anything that's one digit, right, is this one, okay? This will be a one digit, which is the 4, okay? So this is going to be your ones. Okay? Just going to write it this way, just so it fits. How about your tens? What number is your tens? The 3, right? So if you have tens, you're going to have a number that has 2 digits. Okay? So 2 digits, this is your tens. What do we call the twos? The number 2 right here. What does it represent? The hundreds. Number 1 is the 1,000. Yep. So when I read this, let's say if I'm reading this number, if I'm reading this number, whatever is before the decimal, that's 1,234, right? So this is your thousands, hundreds, tens, and ones. Now anything after the decimal, right, also has a name. Do you guys know what we call the first number after the decimal? It is, but it has a name. What is it? Tenth. Okay? So it's a T-E-N with a T-H. Okay? So this, the first number after the decimal is called the tenth. Spot. Okay? So when the question is asking you round to the nearest tenth, you're going to have to round to the nearest 1 decimal place. Okay? Then this second decimal place, we call that hundredth. Okay? So again, with the TH at the end. And this is going to be the thousands again. And the 10. We don't usually say to the 10,000s. We usually say to the nearest 4 decimal. It's easier to say than to say 10,000. I can't even pronounce it. All right? So, when the question is asking you round to the nearest something, you have to know what the question is asking you. All right? Are we okay with this? All right. So, when you're rounding, first you're going to have to decide which digit you need to round to. Okay, so the last digit that you want to keep. Leave the same if the next digit is less than 5. If it's less than 5, you leave it the same. Okay, this is called rounding down. Okay, so for example, if I have 1.342, okay, and I want to leave it to the second decimal place, so I want to leave it to this decimal, because the 2 is less than 5, right, I leave my answer as 1.34. Okay? Increase it by 1. I know there is rules with respect to the 5, but for this course, we are gonna follow this method, okay? Increase it by 1 if the next digit is 5 or more, okay? So if it's 5 or more, it doesn't matter what it is, I want you to increase it by 1. Okay, and this is called rounding up. Okay, so again, I'm going to give you another example. So if I have 1.347, right? Again, I want to round to the second decimal place. Because this is greater than 5, then I have to round the 4 up to 1.35. And the reason for that is because it's closer to the 1.35 than it is to the 1.34. Okay? It's like when you go and shop, right? And then it's like $22.97. It's actually $23, right? If you think about it that way. It's $23. You're rounding up. Okay? There's the cascading nines. What that means with the cascading nines is like when you go shopping again, and then it says like the price is $19.99. If you want to round this, what do you round it to? 1. To 20, right? You round it all up to, yeah. So because it's $19.99, right? What happens is if you want to round this up, this is going to round to 10, right? Because of the 9 here, you're going to round this up to 10. But I can't round this up to 10, so what happens is it rounds this up. Because this is also a 9, what happens is it rounds this up to 2. Okay? So we call that the cascading nines. And then this becomes zeros, so that's why it rounds up to $20. Yeah? So the first question is asking me to round to the nearest 10. So I have 32.45. Where's my 10 digit? Which number is my 10 digit? 3. The 3. So what I do is, okay, I want to round to this number. Yeah. So I look after it. After it, I have the number 2. Right? So I have to, how do I round this? What would the answer be? So it'll be 30. Yeah. Okay. And then if you think about it this way, 32.45 is closer to 30 than it is to 40. 127.9. It's going to be 130. Again, where is my 10 digit? 2. 2 is my 10 digit. I look after it. Because it's a 7, then I have to round this up, and it becomes 130.0. Okay. So what I want you to do is I want you to try and do the other questions, and then we'll take them up.